what would be your top 3 runner-up for the Ballon d'Or? And I don't want to hear. I mean, Yamal is good, but
yeah.
It's today. If he does something, everyone is saying, "Oh, he should win the Ballon d'Or." But for me, right now, if I had to give it to someone right now, taking into account the whole season, I think Dembele is winning it.
I would agree with you. I would say that Dembele is my number 1, and then I think that Salah is number 2. And I think that partly because their stats are very similar, but PSG had Liverpool's number in the Champions League, and Dembele was instrumental for that entire campaign. And usually the Champions League winner is at the very tip top, and then especially when the World Cup comes around as well, that's the big deciding factor. So I agree with you, man. I don't really see a convincing argument for anybody else when you look at the stats and the silverware around it, because you can look at guys that have Victor Gyökeres has had crazy stats this last season, but Sporting has that ceiling, so you gotta quantify in the expectation of the club, the performance in Europe and domestically. The argument outside of Dembele is getting flimsier and flimsier, I would say.
And another thing is Salah.
Yeah.
I don't know why people don't talk about him.
Yeah.
I don't get why the name is not in the conversation we pointed. And I'd put him number 2 too.
I know why.
Why?
Because we expect him at that level now. That's the curse.
You think so?
That's the curse of being that good that consistently, is that you can almost be breaking your own record every single season, but until you break it again, they don't care about it.
29 goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
18 assists.
Yes.
47 goals involvement.
Yes.
And you don't talk about this guy.
Because
that's shame on all the pundits.
No, and I agree, and I'm not excusing the behavior. But what I mean is that we expect him at that level.
Yeah.
And part of the reason that Dembele is getting the nod is because of the turnaround that he had. And I'm not saying like the stats are quality. Yeah. The silverware is quality. But the improvement, the turnaround from where we knew him to be,
and where he is
now. It's been so long since we saw Mohamed Salah at Chelsea not being good enough.
That's right.
And then going to Roma and coming up. But ever since he's stepped foot back in England with Liverpool, he's been held to that particular standard, and he's been hitting it almost every single season. And I do think that they take that for granted.
Salah delivered one of the most impactful ever season in the Premier League. In fact, if you had to put this season compared to any other season among the top players, I probably would compare this to Thierry Henry 2003, 2004. But that, it's crazy. Yamal, I get the hype, and I think that's also because he's 17. Because
exactly.
If he was 21, I don't think the hype would have been at this level.
Yep. Dembele's was because we knew the lack of form that he was in. Salah is getting the downgrade because we expected of him, but then Yamal, the novelty of him being 17 and playing this well, that's the reason that he's getting. So like those two guys competing against Salah and him holding his own, but still not having that same level of shine around him, it really is just because we've seen it for so long and we expect it. But that doesn't make it any less impressive, does it? That's the issue.
I was reading this thing it's a meme on Fabrizio Romano every time he reports the news, and everybody was like having all these memes. But they were like, every time he could say, "Oh, my wife she's pregnant and about to give birth," and he would say after that, "But did you see Yamal's goal? He's only 17."
Yeah.
Like that's the hype, but
and I get it because he does somewhat resemble another player that we used to know that was that young. Like I get the comparisons. It doesn't benefit him from comparing him to Messi like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that young, that electric, at that high of a club, it's not a young kid. It's not a 17-year-old playing in Brazil.
Yeah. But he also played more games than all of them combined and this young, which I think is a problem. And we need to explore this next time.